Hello and welcome to another doll video. I'm Thomas and today I'm making a doll inspired by Pokemon's Eevee. I grew up a fan of Pokemon and Delightful, so as a child watching her videos I knew one day I also wanted to make dolls of the eeveelutions, and today is that day. So let's get started. First I prepared the doll by removing the head from the body and the face paint from the head with acetone. I also take the hair out using pliers. Then I begin painting the body with thin layers of brown paint. Also, I sanded the body lightly before painting so that the paint has more of a surface to stick to. For this doll, I'm actually using one of my childhood Twilight Sparkle dolls, and one thing about the My Little Pony dolls is that their forearms and hands are rubber, so the paint doesn't stick to it very well. So throughout the end of the video and the photo shoot, you can see that the paint starts to peel off and she's got white hands. For the hair, instead of my usual method of doing rerouting or wefts, I chose to make a wig cap that I learned off of Hexion's channel, where you wrap the head in cling film and then a pair of old tights, and then you paint the wig cap with 4 layers of glue. I used 4 layers. It makes the wig cap into the perfect shape of the head that you can then glue the hair to, and then the hair is removable, so if you want you can change the hairstyles. Now onto the hair. This is the same as with wefts or how I do rerouting, which is you wrap yarn around a pencil or a stick or anything, and then use a metal pet brush and brush out the yarn until it becomes soft fibers, and then after that you can get mini straighteners and straighten out the fibers. This makes them silky and also longer if you pull on them while you're straightening them. Also, for me personally, I like to go back over the hair with the metal pet brush after I've straightened it out so that I can then fluff up the hair a bit, because sometimes when you straighten the hair it can make it look a bit too plasticky, so it makes it look more realistic if you rebrush it out. Once making the wefts, usually I would do a PVA glue method, but I wanted to work a bit quicker today, so I used hot glue instead. The hot glue method is basically the same, but you do it on a silicone mat. So you place down the hair in the length that you want it, and then you put a row of hot glue over the top and use the silicone mat to press it down as thin as possible. And then within a couple seconds you have a dry weft that you can then glue to your wig cap or your doll's head. So now here I am showing you what it looks like after you glue down the wefts to the wig cap. Time for the parting. Now this is the same if you would just do a regular weft hairstyle, where you glue down the weft in the opposite direction that you want it to lie, and then you fold it back over itself to make a soft finished edge. And here's just me adding some finishing touches to the wig. I really like it, although I will say that I will probably be using the PVA glue method more in the future. It's the one that I've used previously, and I just think that the hot glue method, although I love this wig, it's quite thick and bulky, so I'll definitely be sticking with PVA glue next time. Also, to allot space for the ears, I cut notches down the sides of the wig and then glued the hair directly to the head cap in those places so it's less visible. Time for my favourite part, the face up. I spray the face with 2 coats of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat, and make sure to wear your mask so that you don't inhale any of the fumes. Here I've done a light sketch of what I want the face to look like in a regular HB pencil, and I'm doing some body blushing with some pastels that I got from the works. They don't work very well, but they do if you layer them enough. Here I'm filling in the eye whites with white acrylic paint. this, I can add in the eyelashes, which are 2D this time, and the irises. I've chosen brown for the irises as I want quite a monochromatic theme for each character. I also chose to add freckles across her face and upper body. Now it's time for gloss. I use a clear UV resin for her eyes and then mix in some pink pastel and glitter into the resin to gloss her lips like she's wearing lip gloss. I can cure it all with my UV torch. I finally managed to buy some new huge pots of epoxy and used that to make her ears. I then painted them brown and added some small tufts of fluff. Oh yeah, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where I glued the hair directly to the head. She looks a bit silly with the wig off, but it works with the wig on. So originally I did make a design for this doll, but as you know, I'm not very good at following the designs I make. I was originally going to make her some Uggs out of paper mache, but I could not get the paper mache to stick, so I ended up using some normal boots later on. This is my favourite part of her whole outfit. I made some orange corduroy trousers using the flared jeans pattern by Delightful. I first stitched together both crotch seams and then up the sides of the legs and then the inseam of the legs, and then they're done, and I really like how they turned out. All I had to do was add a small square of Velcro to the back and they were perfect. Although these were made for a small monster high body, they fit the My Little Pony bodies perfectly. They're a bit wide at the waist, but I chose to keep it that way and add the Velcro further along the waist, and it ended up giving a really tight waist effect. So I think they fit very well. This is the final result of the trousers. I really like them. They might be my favourite trousers I've made so far. They just fit her so well, and the flared effect looks really good on her because she is a shorter doll. Now onto the knitted jumper. Yeah, so that didn't turn out too well. So instead, I'm going to make a stripy hoodie out of this baby grow that I found in a charity shop for £1.50. This part isn't particularly interesting. I just eyeballed the pattern for this because there's not really many My Little Pony patterns out there. So first, I stitched up the shoulder seams at the top after gluing down the neckline so that it doesn't fray. Then I stitch the arms into the main top, and then finally can fold that all together and stitch up from the end of the sleeve all the way down to the bottom of the bodice of the shirt. After this, I also chose to add a really big hood. It can't be used because My Little Pony heads are huge, but I still really like the effect. I also made some bias binding and went over the edge of the hood where it connects to the bodice, just so it looks a bit neater. One final thing, I kept the little logo stamp from the Baby Grow on the hoodie because I thought it looked really cute because it's a little brown paw print, so it was right on brand for Eevee. Now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, Eevee's massive fluffy tail. For this, I made a template out of paper and put it inside some old tights. I then pinned the paper to the tights and stitched around it to make a bag in the shape of the tail that I wanted. I cut a length of wire, double the length that I would need, and twisted it around itself to reinforce the strength. I then put that wire into the bag that we previously made and stitched the loop at the end of the wire into the end of the tail so that it wouldn't get lost in there. I then stuffed it with the leftover fluff from brushing out her hair. Now to make it. So to do this, we used the usual method of PVA glue and hair wefts. I made these hair wefts really short so that I could make as many as possible from one length of yarn. I also didn't wait for the glue to dry while I was doing it because I didn't really see the point. When I was doing it, I definitely saw the point because it was absolute chaos, but we got it done and it looks really good. I drilled a hole in the doll's back with a thin drill bit, and then I put the end of the wire into that hole and cured it with UV resin so it wasn't going anywhere. Now the shoes. I hate painting shoes, and I never thought I'd say this, but I think that the shoes are a contender for the trousers for my favourite thing on this doll. They are so nice, and I really like the colour story that I used. I just used different types of browns for the shading and then leather, and then I used dark paint and mixed it with silver paint so that it looked like a dirty kind of iron for the chains and the buttons on the shoes, and I think they turned out really effective. It's a shame you can't see them under the flared trousers. And finally, I painted a glass bead like a Pokeball, put it on a string, and wrapped that around her waist for her final accessory. Now I'm so excited to show you the final reveal. I want to know, what's your favourite Pokemon? Tell me in the comments. Eevee, I choose you. Hey, what's that over there?